Hey, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining up. In this session, I'll be teaching you data types in Python. It's so much fun to learn. Let's get started. So today's session, we will be discussing about data structures or data types in Python. So this is one of the very important topic because whatever we work on the real time, right? So that's going to be data only, right? So understanding of deeper insights of this data structures are very critical. So without knowing this, it's going to be a tough one actually. Okay, so please mute yourself, and when you want to speak out, then only please unmute it and speak. Okay, data types. So in Python, there are mainly several data types are available, but the industry accepted and most widely data types are. So to make a see, I'm using hash because hash means single line comment, actually line comment. Okay. So the first one is, I would say, numbers, list, third is tuple or tuple. We used to say tuple, tuple, whatever. And fourth is strings. Fifth one is sets. Sixth one is dictionaries. Seventh one is Boolean. And eighth one is none type. Okay, guys, this is very important topic. And as mentioned, right, to work on any data, for example, when you're opening any website, so what you basically you see along with the UI, you will be seeing all the text, correct? So the text playing with the playing with the text, understanding the text, how what is the type of the text, that's critically important. Otherwise, it would not it's not that much easy to uh, propagate or populate the information to the UI. Okay, the very first one is numbers. So when it comes to numbers, so primarily we have I think you must have here that no integer numbers, float numbers, and complex. And we don't care about complex because when we are working on the data science related project, then only we used to understand. We need to understand complex. Otherwise, we should be fine. Yeah. So first of all, let's have a small example for integer. So when it comes to integer, right? So we can whenever you say 10 minus 10, whatever the numbers, any number, or either it can be positive number or negative number, that's going to be a integer numbers. So when it comes to floating point number, so number which has a decimal point, we used to say, let's say 15 point some dots, right? So this is a floating point number or float number. Okay, and I can give you a small syntax for complex also. For example, in your intermediate, you must have seen that 10 plus 20j, for example. So this is a complex type, right? Where you must have recollect that j square equal to -1 in your intermediate, right? So these all are a complex number, but anyway, we don't consider, we never use anywhere in our application development. Okay, but this for your understanding purpose. And in order to work on this, right, we need to understand, oh, okay, so when I do this, for example, when I want to, okay, Kumar, you are saying that these are the values, but where do we use actually in your program, correct? So when you want to type, when you want to define, uh, let's say, define a number. When you want to perform addition, for example, right? The use case is very simple. So when you want to perform addition and subtraction, whatever the operation you want to play around, we can use number type. Let's say you want to define like you want to perform addition. So addition can be performed on two different values, right? For example, let's say number one equal to, for example, 10. Number two equal to 20, for example, or this number can be anything. All right. And if you want to perform addition, what you do actually? Simple. So number 1 plus number 2. This is how we do actually. You got it? So to perform arithmetic operations, we used to use number data types. All arithmetic operations, uh, the one of the primary thing is number data type. Got it? And so similarly, what happens? Like in Python, like other programming languages, if you want to define, let's say in C programming, if you want to define number 1 equal to 10, so it's not that much straightforward like Python. As I mentioned, Python is a high level programming language where you can, the way we were talking, the same way you can define as well. But whereas in C programming, it's not for, yeah, it's just to understand. In C programming, if you want to define number 1 equal to 10, so you cannot define directly. Instead, you just say like int number 1 equal to 10, and you should also put colon. You must have seen this, right? But when it comes to Python, colon, specifying the data type, nothing is required. You can directly play around that. Okay, if you want to define number, let's say number 1 equal to 10, number 2 equal to 20, and also you have freedom to use any variable name. So this name can be anything. This name can be your name too, but it's just a variable. You got it? Right. And if you want to execute, said for example, if you want to do addition, so this is how you do. So let me quickly save this file. Let's say, and in order to run here, so in Python we have a play button on the top right, but in Python, in this ideally, so there is shortcut is F5, or you can go here, run and run module. So you got the result here, right? Cool. Yeah. So I'll keep side by side so that it will be easy. You can perform any arithmetic operation. It cannot be only addition. You can perform anything. You can perform multiplication, division, floor division. Anything is fine. Okay. Even you can play with float point numbers. Let's say, for example, I would say number 3. Let's say 0.5, for example, right? So if you want to add one more, number 3, if you do F5, got it? So meaning whatever you are performing here, the logic you are performing, the same, it would result you the same. Got it? So this is going to be a integer type. This is, oh, this is also integer, and this is float. The result, what is the result? The result is float type. And in order to understand what type of data it is, for example, so there is a function called type function. Type is a built-in function in Python where you can easily identify what type of data it is. And also important, see, this kind of operation anybody can do, right? Even 10th class guy can also understand, hey, when you want to perform some addition, like you can go ahead and use a plus operator for doing addition, right? But in programming, it's not that much straightforward. What you basically need to understand when you're doing addition. So for example, now we are at integer numbers, right? So we have a freedom to perform any kind of integer addition. But whereas other thing, for example, it's not a integer. Let's say if I had a data, for example, number 3, number 4 equal to, so mistakenly instead of having number, right, I just had some string. Let's say Kumar. I had a number 4 string, but mistakenly, wantedly, we made a mistake here, right? But when I do a addition of number 4, boom, type error. So what did you notice? See, type error, unsupported type, operand type. See, you had operand type plus, but what you're doing is you're doing float plus string. Why? How float actually? Because number one, number two, number three, right? It become 30.5 that you already clear. What is the type of it? This type is float. Float plus number four, correct? So why that error also we need, and also in programming, instead of development, you need to understand how to debug the issue. So when it comes to production, right, production deployment, if there is something, if something goes bad, for example, you should have a like idea that, hey, okay, for example, as soon as you see this type error, you should immediately run over to this file, this line particularly. So and say, hey, who has made this mistake? Like for example, if this data is coming from database, right? Mistakenly, someone updated or modified this value to some string value, for example, right? So this is how we should make the things. And one more important thing. So that's where when it comes to addition, it's not that much easy. So when you are doing this kind of operation, you should always check what type of data it is before performing. It is mandatory that check the type of the variable. Okay. So how you can check? So since this would make your program to crash. Okay, so this is error. Let me also copy the error. Have the error here. Okay, for your reference. Also, I will copy this line and comment this one. Okay, and whenever you see a comment like hash, which means that commented. Okay, this line is commented, and when it comes to the execution, so this wherever the commented lines, right? For example, as I run this program, for example, if I click F5, right? These all commented lines, commented stuff, right? All commented stuff will be skipped. Even empty space, empty lines, and all will be skipped. This will be skipped. Got it? And here I'm just making a program to run now. Like we already executed this. So if I do a F5, this time it would execute without any error because we have commented this piece of code which is causing the error. Got it? And so in order to understand what type of data it is, right? So this number type, right? So number type, float type, whatever it is. So we have something called function name is type function. You can keep this out too. So type function. So if I use three double quotes, which means that it is a multi-line comment. If you want to, let's say for example, for my understanding, I want to keep some data here. But see, if I execute this program, it would run, but no issues. Got it? And this one we used to select multi-line comment. So all commented lines will be skipped. It will not be executed. Okay. So why I have add this? Let's say function name is type function. Type, and if you pass the object, for example, object or variable, right? So example, type of, let's say 10 is object, type of, let's say, or number one. You got it? So when it comes to Python, so here 10 is object. Okay. 10 is value, right? So value is like object. And when it comes to num, right? So this is a variable. All are variables actually. So for this type function, you can pass object name, or directly value name, or you can pass the variable name. So which would tell you what type of data it is. Okay. So currently what we were doing, we are doing number one plus number two plus number three, right? So this is how we are performing addition operations here. And if you want to check, if you want to print what type of data it is also, so it's very simple. Print. So yesterday we tried printing your name, right? Let's say here instead of this name, number one is. So if you want to print, I can write other, like we have advanced format where we can write a proper message. But since you are learning in very beginner stage, right, you can keep like this. Number one is for example number one. So if I print this, number one is 10, right? You are seeing this. See, this is just a display message actually. So wherever, if you want to have some display message on the screen, so instead of having some blind results, right? So by looking at it, 30.5, hey, what this 30.5, right? Instead of that, you say like addition of number one plus number two plus number three is, or addition of 10 plus 20 plus 0.5 is 30.5. So I always writing some readable code, better readable code, always good actually. Got it? So writing a readable, best readable code always preferred. Got it? So see, you are saying like number one is this. In the same way, for example, number two, number three, number three. Got it? So if you execute this program F5, you'll see the results now. See, number one is this, two, three, four. Got it? Yeah. And here, when you want to, when you're doing this, right? Instead of this, so you can separate result and the display string by putting comma. Okay, if you keep comma, which means like this is separate, this the whole result is separate, and this is just like a display message or print message. Result of number one, number two, number three. For example, if I execute this now, this is okay, right? I'll do a thing. I'll cancel it and I'll trigger one more time. All right, cool. Now you are seeing that result of number one, number two, and number three is, for example, but still this is not readable. So when it comes to the real time, right, when we are referring these logs in the Splunk, right, so this does not make any sense, like, because you are seeing this result of number one, number two, number three, but actually instead of this number one, number two, number three, if I keep a value, let's say result of, instead of result, which addition of, right, now this is more readable. Addition of, still this is not good. Still this is not good. Why? The reason is very simple. Imagine if the in the background, let's say your, let's say addition of this is this, for example, but in my logic I had instead of I had a poor programming practice, for example. I don't know how to do addition of this. Instead of this, I have performed minus here, number one minus number two plus number three, for example. When I do this, it doesn't make any sense. Did you see this? Addition of number one, number two, number three is this. So it does not make any sense, right? It would not give any value when we are looking at the Splunk log for the issue, correct? So for this, what we had in Python is, right, even after keeping comma, you can bump it to next line. For example, here it is like it is a too lengthy line. For example, I'll do one thing. So result, I'll keep it in some small window. This is fine. All right. Yeah. So instead of having a, if line is very big, so the what is the line length, right? So line length must be of minimum only, sorry, maximum of 79 characters. Okay. So if I go here, what is it is okay, column is 57, which means that it's like 56 characters are there in the line. Okay, that's fine anyway. We don't care about line length. But when it comes to best programming practice, we used to keep only 79 characters. All right. But here, when you are looking at this, number one minus, see, the logic you are performing is addition, but mistakenly, instead of plus, we made a minus, for example, here, right? It does not make any sense. But while looking at this, it does not give any insights about, hey, okay, this may be minus 9.5, for example, right? But what is the ideal solution? So this is not a good practice, right? Instead of this, what we can do? So if I write, let's say, addition of, so if I had a print statement something like this, how, let's say, imagine this is my output screen, addition of 10, 20, and 0.5 is 30.5. This makes more sense, right? Addition of 10, 20, or 10 comma 20 comma 0.5 is, for example, this make more sense. So writing a best readable output message is very important, critical actually, in the real time. Okay, so how this can be written, right? Let me write this in this format. Same thing. So in Python, we in there is a format, like it is a string. We had a string, right? In the string we will cover, but anyway, we'll start experimenting from today because that makes more sense and add more value. So how I can write this? Print same message. See, the string message is this, and here you should keep f. F means formatted string, and you can exactly copy this. Okay, and so replace each value. For example, you want to keep 10 here, right? So instead of 10, so what is the variable name? What is the variable storing this 10? Number 1. Okay. And 20. 20 is where it got available. It is available into number 2, right? And what is this? 0.5. 0.5 is number 3. Okay. And what is this? Result, right? Result is like number 1 plus number 2 plus number 3, correct? Should keep number 1 plus number 2 plus number 3. You got it? Now, if you run this program, addition of, there is what it says, addition of, okay, there is some syntax error. Hmm, what is it? Formatted string, addition of number 1, number 2, number 3 is, yeah, this is valid. Hmm, yeah, you're seeing this output, right? Yeah. So now when we're able to understand this, we can keep it to, yeah. Is it clear? So this is how we should write a proper output message actually, because it would give more value. So rather saying like this, right? This would not give any value when you're troubleshooting the error. See, looking at this, like I had given a two variants. The very first variant, you don't understand anything properly, right? But when it comes to the second one, so this is very neat, right? Addition of 10 comma 20 and 0.5 is 30.5. And look at this. This way you can't debug. So when it comes to a programmer, right, developer, we need to write a proper readable message in the screen. So when we are, let's say, this data only, like since we are doing this print, right, instead we will keep this data in log file, and that log file will be streamed by the Splunk application, right? What we do is, hey, whenever there is a change detected in this log file, please dump this data to the Splunk. So what Splunk will do, it will extract the data and display on the screen, correct? So that's where, so writing this kind of information is not recommended, but instead you should write a best readable message. Okay, and use f. Actually, f means a formatted string, And instead of see, I would not prefer this. See, yeah, you're writing the addition of number one comma number. It does not give any value. Okay, so that's where writing addition of, you should put curly braces, and inside you should keep that variable name. So this will be replaced with the value what this variable has. For example, number one. So this block, this is a placeholder. So this placeholder will be replaced with the value what this number one has. Got it? Yeah. So this is not recommended. So generally, other programmers, right? Like when it comes to the ones like even uh, people having 5+ years experience or 10+, right? Still they're writing, messages something like this. Still nowadays, even if you want to look at the Splunk logs, you will see some very bad, readable messages where you don't even understand. If something goes bad, you don't know how to troubleshoot them also, because since there is no best practiced, best practiced for like best readable code or best readable display message, right? So that would like hard. It is very hard actually, or painful when it comes to troubleshooting, right? Yeah, right. So this is what we do for addition operation, which is like numbers. So the assignment for the same is, please do perform for all arithmetic operations like addition, multiplication, division, whatever. Okay. So handout is okay, like less, minus, multiply, division, modulus, all operators. Okay. So this is your handout. And when you're doing this, so use two variables. So two variables, right? You can easily make out. Okay, let's say 10 minus 20 minus 10, right? So instead of three, you can make out two. That's fine. And please write a this is a recommended way. This is like output example or example output. Anything is fine, right? So by now you understood how to write a proper readable message, which would be very helpful for the users to troubleshoot. And let us also understand how to use a type operator, a type function. Okay, so you can directly print, let's say print, since you already aware like how to use f string, right? uh, Type of number one is type of number one, right? Instead of number one, you can also print type of number one. Let's say here, this is just a string actually. Okay, so display message. So here, what is the number one? Number one, for example. Okay, so meaning I want to write see, writing proper message is very important. So type of number one, so which is 10, is put one more placeholder. So what is the function name? Type function. Type of, you should keep number one. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just kick out everything. So since we already had practiced this, I'll do one thing. I'll keep everything in a quotation. Okay, yeah. So type of number one is, let's say if I execute this, You got it? So type of number one, 10 is, so I think it looks like minus. So instead, I just keep colon. Yeah, if I just update it, now this makes more sense. Otherwise, the type of minus 10 is integer, right? It does not make any sense. So keeping this kind of, um, so special characters also does make sense actually. So type of number one is 10, and its type is integer class. So which means like integer type. Got it? So this is how we have to write. We have to print the type, right? The same way, if you want to if you want to get a type for, let's say string 3, which is a float. So once you write it, so I think my recommendation would be, when you're writing it, please type everything. Okay, so don't be lazy. Copy paste. I can do a copy paste of this and replace number one with number two. Oh, sorry, number three. But that is not recommended from initial practice. Okay, because this way you will understand. Oh, okay, I have to write a placeholder, two placeholders to keep a value and type number three. If I execute this now, did you get it? So number one type is integer and number three type is float value. So try out for, as mentioned, right? So all arithmetic operations, please try out today. All right. And one more thing, when you're see when it comes to numbers, right? So numbers, it can only store one value. For example, let's say you want to store two values or three values to a single variable. So that cannot be possible in numbers. So that's where other data structures came to picture, like list. List means what? Like you, by name itself, it says list means like it contains many data, many values, right? It can store many values. Yeah. So this is all about numbers. Hope you understand. All right. So next one is list actually. So to overcome the drawback of numbers, right? But anyway, number has its own advantages, because to perform addition operations, we will use numbers, but it cannot be used for doing, or storing multiple values, right? That's where list come to picture. So list is, it can store n number of items. Okay. For example, if you want to, how to create how to define a list, right? So it can store a number of items, and uh, to define a list, use square bracket like this. Okay. And one more important thing. So two parameters we need to understand. One is order, and this applies to anything, but not to numbers. Numbers, booleans, and none. It will not apply. Order and mutability. So we used to take collection instead of say order, collection. Okay. Like how it shows. See, when it comes to collection, so we need to understand, so whether the items are stored in order. Okay, let me write the items are stored in order or unorder. Mutability uh, is items can be changeable or not. We got it. See, we need to understand, like when we define a list, so we need to understand like how the items are stored, right? How the how the items are stored. So how the items are stored in order or unorder, right? And mutability means changeable. So we need to understand these two parameters for every data type. Okay, except numbers, boolean, and none type. Okay, first and 7 8. Okay, we need this is not applied to these three data structures, but it applies to everything else. When it comes to list, right? So list is ordered collection. Items are stored in orders order style, ordered way. Okay, and when it comes to mutability, once defined, items can be changeable, modi modifiable, or deletable. Got it? So this is a list. In list, items are stored in order way, and once we define items, it can be changeable, modifiable, or deletable. Okay, let's have it understand. Okay, so how we can define list? As I mentioned, list is defined using square brackets. Okay, for example, my list, instead of say number list. So previously we stored only one number, right? In number one. Now numbers list equal to, let's say here, 10, 20, 30, and 40. So this can be any value again. So it can be any number ranging from 0 to or minus number, whatever number it is. So this is how we can define a number, or this is how we can define a number inside a list. Okay, so previously we had only number equal to 10, meaning only one value. So by using this number variable, you can only have 10. But if you want to store, let's say 10, 20, 0.5 all in one variable, then integer type will not support. Instead, we'll use list type. You got it? Yeah. So here, this is how we should define integer. And as I mentioned, right? So the items are stored in order way. Okay. So how order will be defined, right? So order, the item, like when it comes to count, right? So how human counts, we count like one, first item, second, third, fourth, right? But when it comes to programming, it always the number like counting start from zero. So this is like zeroth item, first item, second item, and this is third item. You got it? Yeah. And when it comes to changeable, modifiable, I'll tell you. Okay. So first of all, let's try to print the variable name list, right? So print, let's say list is, for example, or you can print this name instead of list, right? Yeah, num list is. So here you put f string here, and then here what you have to keep, you have to keep the, see, this is the placeholder. See, other thing is just like a message only, display message on the screen. But whenever you use this placeholder, which means that whatever the value you are keeping inside this, that will be printed out. Okay, for me, what I want to do is I want to print number list here, the variable. So I want to print the full list now. If I execute this, right, you are seeing, right, you are seeing full list. Let me close it off and run one more time. Got it? Yeah. So this is how, like, printing entire list. Okay. And so you're saying this like, you are getting full list. But if you want to access specific item, let's say you want to access 10, or you want to access 40, or you want to access 20. So how this can be accessed? This can be accessed using the order number, or we used to select index number actually. Okay, instead of order, in the term, when it comes to the terminology, we used to select index number, index. Okay, so index 0 is 10, index 1 is 20. Got it? So like now access the value based on the index number. So how you can access? So very simple. So print, put a string formatter and say, uh, like, let's say I want to access 30. Okay, index 2 has value. You just say like, some put some meaningful, no, number list, the variable name, number list, index 2 has value. For example, what do you have to keep? Now, see, when you want to access a specific item, let's say this one, right? What you have to do is you have to keep like this. You have to keep list of number list of what is index number 2. You have to keep like this. So when you print this, for example, if you print this, if I execute this program, right? So since I just put a placeholder, but I didn't fill out. Okay, so this that should be filled out this way. So that's why I'm simplifying and I'm explaining here, like outside how it will print, right? If I execute this program, this way you see number list is enter one, and there is one more print statement we had, right? So number list of two, number list of see when you use the variable, it will print enter name, enter value. But when you specify the index number, then it only fetches that value and prints. See here, here, got it? And even when you want to, when you are practicing it, right? Do this way also. Now that's where uh, see f number list two is for your understanding. If you keep like this, then see this just like a message, display message, right? But whenever there's a placeholder inside this placeholder, right? Whatever value it will be displayed, so that when you're reading through the logs, right, or messages, it will be very easy for you to understand. When I execute this, now it will tell you. See, number list two is 0. Sorry, 30, right? And number list two index has value 30. Got it? You have to write some beautiful best readable messages. So this is very important. Like the way I just defined, you can access any number like this. Okay. So handout is try to define new list. Try to define a new list with random values and access them. You got it? You got the assignment? Right. And this is how we can this way. See, that's where if it is not in order style, right, we can't access like this. If it is not in order, right? If I say like number 2 30, right, currently a list is order style. That's where you can access like this. Okay, but when it comes to other types, let's say sets. So sets and only these two, sets and dictionaries, are unordered. But these days they made dictionaries to order collection, but that's fine. So sets are another collection. No problem. While coming to sets, you'll understand better. Yeah. So this is to judge list or orderly stored. Okay, that's where we tried this example. And when it comes to the modify, right? So let's say if you want to change, for example, until this you are okay, and you want to change uh, first index number value to, for example, 100 or some other value. Okay, so meaning you are about to modify the value. This example, to justify this one, list items are stored in order, and this is point number one. This applies to any time. Yeah, cool. And let me quickly put this message. So this is the beginning. Okay, so that you'll understand easily. Yeah. And next one is, now we need to justify this statement. So to justify this, what we do is, now we have to change, right? See, number list 2. Let's say now I want to modify. So how we can access? See, for example, I want to modify 22, for example, 50, value 50. So how this can be changed? See, what you have to do is list of 2, or sorry, 20 value, right? 20 means index number 1. Index number 1 equal to 50. That's it. Now what happened? So list got updated. List got updated, and this value got erased, and which would be replaced with a new value, which is 50. Got it? So when I do this now, if I go ahead and print after modifying the list, okay. So let me put a placeholder, and here number list. So I want now, after changing this value, I want to print the entire list and see like whether the value got changed or not. Okay. So if I execute this, did you see? So initially index number 1 has 20, but after changing the index number, it becomes 50. Okay, got it? So in this step we changed. In this step we have changed index number 1 to 50. So that's where after modifying, if you try accessing this list, right, it has a new value. Okay, other things are same, but only this gets changed 50. You got it? So that's where it is like a modifiable, changeable. Even when you want to delete, let's say for example, you want to delete you know, this value, right? So to delete, so modify means like change. See, you can change. You can change. Changeable or modifiable means both are same statement only. Does not make any sense to add both, but that's fine, right? It gives some best readability when you are you know, going through it. And deletable, which means that, you know, when you define a list, you can also delete the item. For example, you don't like this you know, index number 3, 40. You want to delete this, or you want to delete 10, or you want to delete anything. So for doing deletion, we have a DL statement. Deleting a value in a list. Deleting a value in a list, or delete the entire list. So it's very easy. So you can use DL statement. So for example, if you use a DL space, and we can't, you should not print it actually. Okay, so DL space. If you want to delete, let's say, uh, for example, you want to delete index number 2 value. You don't like 30, and you want to delete them. So DL space. What's the variable name? Number list. Always you should talk to variable name. Okay, variable name. And what is the index number of 30? Which is 2. Okay. So what happens? Now it got deleted. After modifying this list is this. Okay, cool. And now you deleted index number 2 value, which is of 30. And after deleting the value, current list is, put a placeholder and print that list actually. Okay, you got it. So if we execute this program, see, after deleting the value, right? After deleting the value, what it printed? It printed 10, 10, 50, and 40. So you don't have a other value, correct? Did you see it? Yeah. So it got deleted. And if you want to delete a, like this is like deleting a single, delete single value. And if you want to delete entire list, you don't like a complete list. You want to delete the entire one. So simple, delete the entire list. So how you can be deleted? Del space, put that variable name. That's it. It will delete entire list. Okay. If you execute this, no, I just put enter, right? So that's where it got printed. I'll keep like this. Okay. If I execute this now one more time, you are saying, see, but you deleted this. But if you want to double check whether it is still exists or not, right? After this, try to print number list, right? So you can directly print like this. Okay, it would give a name error. See, because what we have done. See, I've used this number list. Name number list is not defined. Why? Because this is no more available. But if you use this statement before deleting the full list, right? It would print. You will see the data here. See, you are seeing, right? 10, 50, and 40. This is a variable. Number list is 10, 50, and 40. But when you after deleting, if you tried accessing, after deleting, because that variable is no more available because you destroyed it. You got it? Why it is not printing out? So this time since DL means destroying it actually. So deleting the entire list, deleting the single list. Now you got a insight, right? Hmm. Right. If you want to, exactly, you have to define again freshly. For example, if you want to, you cannot use this number list anymore. If you want to do any such kind of operation, you need to freshly define the way we have done here, right? The same way we have defined like this. Yeah. Got it? No undo operation in programming. Yeah. No, we can undo, but not this way. So where we had other stuff actually. Undo is a completely separate, altogether separate topic. Okay. But when it comes to data structures, you can't undo. When you are defining this, that's the final one. Okay. You got some insights about this list type, correct? Mhm. Right. And in the same way, when it comes to, yeah, let me quickly take this. Next one is tuple. Okay. So when it comes to tuple, same, it can also store number of items, but to define a tuple, uh, use parenthesis Okay, so parenthesis means like no dot is not part of this. Just parenthesis. And this is how the items are stored in list. Sorry, how the items are stored in order and order. Okay, mutability is it here? No problem. Now when it comes to tuple, so tuple is same as like a list, but when it comes to mutability, once the tuple once defined, it cannot be changeable. You got it? So once you define a tuple, you cannot change, you cannot modify. You got it? Cool. So let's do the same way, So for example, number tuple, number tuple equal to, so number tuple equal to this. Let's say the way which I have defined list, same way, but only difference here is I have used parenthesis, right? Open and close parenthesis. So if you return any data, any value inside this open and close parenthesis, meaning this considered as tuple. Okay, so when it comes to tuple, even it supports order collection. The items are stored in order. Collection will be order 0, 2, and 3. Okay, and whatever the operation you performed to access the items, right? Accessing is fine. Let's say I don't print everything, but I'll say like access single item. It's very simple. You can access this way. So f string and say um, index 2 has, for example, what is the variable name? Num tuple, num underscore tuple index 2, right? Yeah, index 2 is 30. 30 value, for example. Just some, some meaningful display message. See, index 2 has value 30. Or if you want to make some, variable name also, num tuple. Num tuple index 2 has, see, num tuple index 2 has value 30. Meaning you can access, you can access, meaning you can only, it is only having read access actually. You can say like, no, only read only stuff, right? But you can't, see, read permission it has, but you can't modify. For example, so this is like single item. If you want to put a full item, if you want to print full tuple, like that's simple, entire tuple printing. So if you want to print entire tuple, so print entire tuple is, or instead of say entire tuple, right? Say like name tuple is, for example, just display message. And if you the value if you want to keep, you should use curly brace, and inside curly brace inside or in between you should put the variable name num underscore tuple. You got it? So this way, if you execute now, see, it is printing num tuple is this. So this is how you have to write some better readable messages for output screen. Okay, and so when it comes to the, I think this justifies that the items are stored in order way, right? And when it comes to the second point, right? So second point, once you define, it cannot be changeable. Now, right? So for example, now I want to modify this. Let's say the way I have done for list. For example, I want to modify index number 1 to, for example, 50 equal to 50, for example, right? If I execute this now, this would say type error. Hey, tuple object does not support item assignment. Okay, so in Python, the beauty of Python is it will clearly tell you what's the problem, which line. See, it is clearly telling, hey, you are trying to execute a file called add.py. Okay, but I'm not happy with line number 38. Line number 38 is this. Okay, line number 38 is num tuple of 1 equal 50. It is clearly telling what line and what is the problem. The problem is, hey, I'm not happy with this because it's a type error. Tuple object does not support item assignment. You are assigning some value. You are modifying the value of first index, but in tuple it does not support. You got it? The reason is very simple. So when it comes to tuple is immutable data type. Immutable means it cannot be changeable. Mutability, you can also use terminology called immutability. So mutability means changeability, immutability means not changeability. Or you can say that, when it comes to the you can also tell like it is changeable or not changeable. That terminology also you can use. Whatever the way you are comfortable, you can use that name. That's fine still. Okay, got it. So this is about tuple. Next one is strings. One of the very very important. Doesn't mean that other things are not important. That's also important, but this takes the top importance among other data structures. And so when it comes to strings, string is a collection of characters. Like whatever you are seeing on the keyboard, if you look at the keyboard, you are seeing all the alphabets, numbers, special characters, anything, right? Like I would say alphabets, numbers, and special characters. So all are like, when it comes to the character, so character should be alphabets, numbers, or any special characters. All are characters. Okay. And if you want to define a string, right? String is collection of characters. And one more thing you have to remember. I think I'll keep it. Yeah. Example. And to define a string, use single quote, double quote, or triple quotes. Okay. So yeah. So for example, previously I told, for numbers we don't have any special character, like we don't have any symbol to define. But list we have a square brackets. For tuple we have a parenthesis, and for string we can use single quote, double quote, or triple quote. Anything is fine. Okay. Now, so when to use triple quotes? I think you are saying that, hey Kumar, you're using this triple quote for defining some what we can say multi-commented string, right? Block comment. But still, we can use this triple quote for, let's say, if we are thinking that if the string is having paragraph, for example. So paragraph cannot be defined in single way, right? So that's where we had triple quotes. Okay. So to define a string, let's say, for example, my string, my underscore string. So when you're writing a variable with two words, for example, right? Please separate them with underscore. Okay, my string equal to. So I have used. Let me use a single quote first, right? Um, right. See what I have just done. So I have written some statement, but this statement is written inside the string, inside the single quote, right? So this is how we can define a string. You can define a string this way. I would say string one, for example. And when you want to define, you can define other way around also. You can use double quotes. Okay, I'll do one thing. Instead of this, I'll put only, because since I'm using multi-line comment, right? It would cry the other ones, but that's fine. That's okay. One second, I got a message. Yeah, that's fine. So this is string two. I have defined string two with double quotes. Size. See, triple quotes. You can also use triple quotes. Got it? And when it comes to order, so previously I'm talking about order, right? So order is like, again, it's a order collection when it comes to strings, except okay, let me put some statement here. But anyway, I'll define this, I'll explain this, and then we will have some neat stuff to discuss there. Yeah. So here, to define a string, we can use single quote, single, single quote, single, double, and triple quote. Okay, so this way. Yeah. And so when you want to print, let's say, um, print my string, if my string one is, for example, okay, if I export this, see, my string one is India is a beautiful country to live. And since there is no issue with this, if you see string two and string three, right, it does not require, it does not raise any error, because like if you want to define, you can use single quote, double quote, or triple quote. But when it comes to our case generally, so triple quotes primarily we will use for making a block comment. But even when you're referring any code, right, so you don't find a triple quote, someone defined triple quote for a string. So for majority of the community people, we use a single quote or double quote for defining string. Okay, but specifically this is used to make a block comment. Yeah. And two things we need to understand again, right? So one is mutability, other one is collection, right? So when it comes to this, so when it comes to strings, strings can store a number of like we already had a statement. This I already defined. And when it comes to collection, or the collection stored, no. Instead of this, let me take down other data. So in strings, items, instead of say items, characters. Characters are stored in order way only again. Okay, and once it is defined, it cannot be changeable. Correct. So strings are not modifiable. So like I'll justify this too. So since strings are meaning characters are stored in orderly, right? So how this can be done, right? So how we can do this? Let's say how to justify this. Let me try accessing index number 0. So let me give some insights about this. Let's say collection, or instead of this, it become big order. So this is like first item, second. You got it? So this is how it's stored. These are the index numbers, guys. All right, like whatever, even space also a character. That's what I mentioned, right? So in the keyboard, whatever you are seeing, right, each one is a character. Okay, so when you want to let's say if you want to get the uh, let's say I want to print D, for example. What is index number associated? Index number is 2, right? If I say string, let's say my string 1 index 2 value is put here. So how we can variable name, bracket within brackets, square bracket, you should access, let's say index 2, right? Yeah, index 2. That's it. If you execute this, I will see my string 1 index 2 value is D, which means like since it is orderly stored, that's where you are able to access D value. Okay, otherwise you cannot. You got it? You can change. You can access this way. So now I just fed this. Like now we can what we can do is you can also access, let's say, uh, 9, 10, 11. For example, 9 is this A, 10 is empty space, and 11 is B, right? If you want to print, for example, let's say 11, keep 11. Okay. If we execute this out, it should print B. Got it? Now you understood, right? Like the strings are stored in order style. That's where you are able to fetch the respective value of it. Yes. So you can print multiple. For that, we need to cover other concept called slicing. So I can tell you like how, like I can give you a quick example how to fetch some, let's say, instead of entire string. So here we have print entire string here, where here my string 1 we print entire one, right? Entire string. And here we are accessing a specific characters. So here in this we accessed D, and here we access B. Correct? And if you want to access, let's say you want to access beautiful, for example. So we need to understand what are the characters associated, for example, or to give a quick context, I want to access multiple characters of this, right? So multiple characters, how you can do is print. Anyway, this is a separate topic, but uh, since you have question, so let me clarify that. So here access multiple, right? just put a placeholder, right? And what is the variable name? My string1. So keep it here. And here here instead of saying two or some other thing, right? Now we have to keep two variables, sorry, two values, two index numbers. So from which index number? Let's say I want to since I want to access India, right? For example, so India is it starts with 0 and ends with 4. You got it? So what I can do is 0 colon. So you should not keep 4 actually. So actually index number you should keep 5. If you say meaning, see, minimum, it starts from minimum and maximum index number -1. The logic is it starts with 0th index and end index is um end index is start with 0 and end index is 5 minus 1. 5 minus 1. You got it, which is 4. Meaning it starts with 0 and until fourth character it will take. And if you want to access, let's say, beautiful, for example, then you need to understand B is like 11th index, right? It starts with 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, right? So start with 11 and 20, right? But if you want to access beautiful, you should keep 21. So meaning 11 comma 11 colon 21. You got it? So let's print this. If you execute this, you got India, right? You got multiple characters now. And if you want to access the other one, beautiful. So it should starts with no, it starts with B, right? Keep the index number, starting index number 11, and which is 20. 21 you should keep, right? If I execute this now, this time we'll get beautiful. You got it? So this way we can access multiple characters, but there is a separate session on this slicing concept. So this is slicing actually. Like slicing is what? On existing data, whatever data you want to retrieve, you can use slice, right? Yeah. Guys, so I'm almost up for the other session, so I will stop right here. I'll share all the notes along with the recordings. You will have access to the recordings, right? So please do practice based on the examples that I have covered, so you can try with different examples and do a multiple stunts on this. And if you have any questions, you can still write an email to me, and I can respond there. Or you can also come up with questions that you have. We can discuss very first of very first of in the next session.